So we are in Mark's Gospel for ordinary time, and we're in the sixth, and I'm going to say, of Epiphanies. So try to follow me. This is I'm not making this up, but it's there. So we have the birth of Jesus is a revelation, which is an epiphany. Then the second one is when he is presented in the synagogue according to the Jewish law. So he's presented, revealed as a very faithful Jew child, circumcision, presentation. Third is the epiphany to the outer world. So you have a natural birth, then a birth in the Jewish tradition, then you have a birth to the wider world, represented by the three kings, the three sages or magi. And they, text says, they went by another way. They returned to their lives another way. That this Jesus is not just for the people of Israel, but for the whole world. And we talked about that in Epiphany. The next epiphany is the baptism, where the revelation is to Jesus about who he is. So that's 4 so far, 4 revelations. And this is progressing, more and more revelation that we're going to see. The 5th one, and we saw it, was the revelation that he needs companions, apostles. And we had how he called them out of their boats. And we had the other Gospels for 2 weeks, which might even more, where he says, you come and see, because there's going to be revelations. That was in the Gospel of John. And how then James and John went and found Andrew. So there's all kinds of gradual, what I'm getting at, revelations. Now, today, this liturgy weekend is a huge shift, because the revelation is that he dominates evil. So that the gospel is that Jesus on the Sabbath, which is a day where you don't do things except pray and all, he is in the temple with the scribes, and a demoniac, a man possessed by a demon, is there and hollers out. And what this is, Gospel 101, Jesus is saying, the first real conflict I'm going to have are those spirits. I have come to be Lord of the spirits, to dominate the spirits, that a demoniac, a dominator, is not going to dominate my spirit. So the very first revelation, in a sense, publicly, of the power of God is the power over evil. And we saw the creative power of God creating order out of chaos in Genesis. And in a sense, the whole history since then is, how can God continue the creation of order? Now, the first reading is really beautiful in how they lined up the reading from Deuteronomy, because there's a conversation between God and Moses. And some people, very strict Jewish people, believe that Moses wrote the whole of the Pentateuch, the whole 5 books. But that's for another course. So God is having a conversation with Moses about the people have said, we don't want you to be hollering at us anymore. No more fire. No more frightening conversations. Okay? Send us someone that can speak our language, that can be with us. And God says to Moses, okay, they asked for it. I'll send someone from your kin, from your descendants, out of the tribes of Israel. I will send a prophet who will do what I say. And those who hear it and abide by it, the law, what that prophet will say, they will live, and those who resist it will die. That's the first reading. And it's very important because it's a prophecy that the Messiah, the prophet, will come from the kin of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, David, and Moses all together. And so Jesus rises as a man of Israel, now revealed in the Jewish tradition, and he comes and he says, okay, what's my first job? It's to show that I have power to say to the demon, quiet. And the demon says, have you come to destroy us? See, he's not speaking to the man possessed. He doesn't destroy the man. He says, you evil spirit, out. Because I have power over you. He said, have you, and the evil spirit says, have you come to destroy us? He said, no, I have come to defeat you. But you will always, the evil will always exist in counterpoint or resistance to the good or the grace or the order. So it's really a beautiful gospel. And of course the scribes on the Sabbath are perplexed, but because the people are saying, wow, this is something new. This is really good. He speaks as if he has authority, which is to say, authority means, in the tradition, not only does he say it, but he does it. He has authority to do as well as to say. The scribes and the Pharisees, they just say. They don't have the authority of a prophet. So right away, this is very early in Mark's gospel. This is in chapter 1, very early after the call of the apostles out of their boats. It's the very next chapter, and he's walking along, and he gets into the synagogue in Capernaum, and bingo, evil confronts the good. The demon confronts Jesus. And of course, he casts the man out, he convulses the man, and the man is healed. And people say, wow, this is really new. And Jesus is giving them something old within the form of something new. That is, Jesus is the new breath bringing order out of chaos. Now what is that to us? And I was praying about this these days. What is the dominant evil spirit that we face in ourselves? We aren't possessed by it. We're not demoniacs, but we know the allurement of, and so maybe I'll talk about myself, but I might suggest you might think about it too. This is the main demon to face that Jesus is trying to cast out. That is, bring about order. This is the evil one working, I think. What gets me unquiet? What kind of events? What kind of memories? What kind of strategies or plans are based in disquiet, chaos? Maybe one thing to pray with these days, and at your own private prayer, what tends to get you disquieted? What takes you into disorder? A revengeful plan, a statement, a curt word, that the object is not order, not quiet. And so if we want to know what to do with our spirits, is to say quiet, and then be women and men and young people of quiet, to bring order, quiet. We will see this again soon at the end of the 4th chapter of Mark's Gospel, where he is asleep in the back of the boat. You might remember that. And there's a big storm, and they wake him up, and he turns to the storm and he says the same words, quiet, be still. That's what he's saying to us. And I think, I'll speak for myself, that's what he's saying to me, that in every situation, I want, in some way, word or gesture, to drive out the demon of riot or uproar or disunion, division, and to say, peace. Let me be an instrument of peace. And so he says to me, as he did in my prayer this morning, be quiet. I said, okay. And then he said, now be a quieter. And so the image I have is we receive the Eucharist in silence and quiet. We are to be the Eucharist. We now are the Epiphany. As Jesus was to the scribes, by what he did, how he revealed himself, we are the latest epiphany of the person and mission of Jesus. We receive it, we believe it, we distribute it. My peace is a gift to me. His peace to me is a gift to my sisters and brothers.